What's up? What's happening? What's going on? My name's Christian. Welcome back to the Best For podcast. And I'm joined by
Ryan McGettigan.
Still Ryan McGettigan.
Still, never changed.
Or should I say I am joining Ryan McGettigan. So I think today, right, maybe we'll talk about like our freshman year experiences and
Definitely.
all of the random things.
I have a lot to say about that. I don't know if how much time we have on this podcast.
Yeah. I definitely have stuff to say about every year, but I guess freshman year, there's just everything is eventful, you know.
A lot is eventful.
Yeah, specifically like you don't pick your roommate usually, or if you do pick your roommate, then it's pretty much all expected. I mean, I guess you didn't live with them before usually, but usually it's someone you're friends with and whatnot.
That was definitely a weird time.
Yeah, you don't pick anything. You're just like, take my money and I'll show up. That's pretty much how it is.
It's like that Fry me from Futurama.
Yeah, shut up and take my money.
Yeah.
Right, that's perfect. That's pretty much how it goes. And you're like, oh, well, what can I have like a choice in any of this?
No, sorry.
Yeah, the second, third, and fourth time you give us your money, you can have a choice.
Christian, did you know that today is Estonian Independence Day?
No, I should know that since I've been playing GeoGuessr, and GeoGuessr is in Estonia. But
yes,
I always get those ones wrong.
For everyone out there, make sure you play your GeoGuessr. Learn yourself some geography.
Today, February 24th, just to clarify.
Yes.
So that's not when the episode.
February 24th.
Yeah.
That's what we mean.
Naturally.
Wednesday, February 24th, 2021. What
Yeah.
you got there? Your Starbucks?
Yeah, just some hot chocolate. I don't actually drink coffee, but I do like hot chocolate.
Yeah.
So.
I don't drink coffee either. I actually got hot chocolate for free the other day from Wawa.
That's nice. Did you get one of the little coupons because you buy so many chicken parms from there?
I did have one of those coupons, and when I went to the counter, she was like, you can get a free hot beverage. I said, no, it's fine. I don't really drink coffee. And she said, you could use it for anything, like coffee, hot chocolate,
Icy.
It could be anything.
Yeah, I see this all the time.
I was like, oh, really?
It's exciting stuff.
Well, all right then.
Yeah.
And I got I think it was like a 16 ounce. It's one of those like little cups. Yeah, so I got a 16 ounce before work. I think I have a Wawa addiction. I've been there like 3 times in the past 5 days.
It's solid. It's
crazy.
got options,
It does, but like
for the 4 states that it's in.
But like
you got options.
At a certain point, it just becomes, I don't know, it just becomes a little too much, and you want to have some different foods.
Yeah, they have like soups, salads, sandwiches.
I don't trust
chips.
I don't trust like that.
Yeah.
In my best Estonian accent.
Whatever. Anyway, yeah. So talking about freshman year, I guess the one thing that takes up most of the time is your classes. So did you get to pick any of your classes freshman year?
No. Well, fall semester freshman year, I did not get to pick any of my classes.
Spring semester, you
Spring
picked.
semester, I did have some freedom. And I'm drawing a blank on the classes I was able to select. But freshman year, fall semester, freshman year, I think I lucked out actually. So I was an EMF major, as I alluded to in the previous episode. And I lucked out. I was able to take 2 of the prerequisites to get into the major in fall semester freshman year.
So you technically, know what you want to do, and they give you classes based on what major you want, but you come in without a major. Right?
Pretty much, yeah. So I lucked out in that instance. But for other people, they weren't so lucky. They got like random gen eds like math, science, all that.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I know that's like a very generic thing people say is like, it doesn't matter. You get your gen eds out of the way like the first year, the first 2 years. But a lot of people I was friends with, and I guess just everyone at rowing, you come into the school with a major. I think you could come in as undeclared, but like I was a computer science major, a ton of my friends were different engineering majors, and it's not like you come in and then you sort of apply or like you want to get into the major like you were saying. You go to the school and you're either in that major or you're not. which is, good and bad. I mean, I think for the most part it's good, so you don't go to a school thinking you can get a certain major and then you can't,
Right. Sorry, I'm just looking up our fun fact for the day.
Our fun fact, and that's a fact of the
We'll
day.
disclose that later for you, so stick around. But yes, freshman year definitely was a fun time for me. Christian, you obviously have some stories about it. But yeah, it was a very...
Who doesn't,
Who doesn't?
It's just eventful. Like, it's eventful, especially I feel like because your roommate, like, if they're boring, it's eventful because they're usually, like, boring in a weird way. If they're, like, really interesting, then you definitely get a lot of stories.
And you have this thing called Freshman 15. You have, your first time being away from your parents in so long, and you finally have that freedom. So there's a lot of things that go on. I think I definitely have some stories to tell. Like I said, I don't know how much time we have on this podcast.
While we're still,
I don't want to incriminate myself.
While we're still talking about the classes, right? I feel like that's definitely a huge part of the whole adjustment too, because a lot of the time people don't know, like, if that's definitely the major they want to do, or like even if they necessarily want to be at that school, or like so many different things. And a lot of the time you just get wrecked, like freshman year. I know so many people who might have been taking like a pretty generic class, but then you get the professors that nobody else wanted, which is why they get stuck with all the freshmen, or all the freshmen get stuck with them. Like, I knew tons of people who took like Calc 1, which is like reasonably hard, but it's not anything crazy. There's a Calc 2 and a Calc 3. But, they'll get a professor where like a 17 out of 50 on a test is like what they want you to get, and like they might not even want a curve. They just want to try to make their class really hard for some reason. And I definitely have one or two professors like that. Nothing that crazy, but my one professor, instead of making his class easier, he made like a 55 a C in his class or something like that, or like a 60, something along those lines, where instead of making his class easier, he's like, no, it'll just be really hard, and I'm expecting you to do bad. But like the grade's based on that, So he's cool dude. So
you pass, you might fail.
Yeah.
It's all in. It's
sounds like a you problem,
It's out of my hands at that point.
Total Zoomer problem,
But what was interesting for me, Christian, was, and I'm glad you brought that up about classes being not what you expected. When I went into my freshman year, and I got bombarded with both of those EMF classes, I think both of them actually were 3-hour classes. And both of them were 3-hour classes, and I
will make fun of you, like I do every time you complain about a 3-hour class.
Look, man.
Any science major or any art. Oh my God, the amount of time. I know it's like art, so it's supposed to be fun and whatnot. The amount of time, like pottery classes and stuff where you need to get in the studio. You want to talk about long classes?
Look, man. When you wake up in the morning and you see, I have to go to a 9 to 11, 12, 15 class, it's rough. It's rough. The good thing about it was we did get a break every now and then. So, like, that was pretty good. But still, for the most part, 3 hours, Now, a lot of the classes weren't necessarily always 3 hours. We didn't always go up to the time limit. Sometimes it was like 2.5. Sometimes it was even 2. Sometimes it was as low as 1. If we caught the professor on a nice day.
Yeah.
So.
And what would you do when you couldn't leave the class and like complain about how long it was? What would you do for the rest of the day?
I don't know. Just do some freshman things, I guess.
But I mean, that was the life hack. You realize that you're a freshman, you get to pick classes last, but you decide, hey, I'll take the 8 a.m. classes, or hey, I'll take like the late night classes, and then you get the best professors. Like I think my freshman year, second semester was probably like my easiest semester and like my best semester. I mean, I'd have to look back on that, but I remember, the first semester, it's kind of tough because you get people, and like my one professor was like, was he a comma Nazi? Where, like, no, that would be his thing. Like, he'd mark up your paper, and the content did not matter. He would notice like 15 places where you optionally should have used a comma or something like that. Yeah, and that was his thing.
I hate those professors, those sticklers for
They're not a stickler for a tickler.
They're not. They're a tickler for a stickler, maybe.
Maybe, but I wouldn't know about that part.
Hey, ooh. Yeah. You gotta ask their significant others for that one.
It's too deep. Yeah, so it was still easy because it was sort of like for the most part, it was like a carryover of high school, aside from my computer science class where they were like, we're not dicking around. Like, we want you to know that you might hate this and you should just switch your major now. And like, I think 60% of the people who start in the major switch out. So that was kind of interesting. Which makes sense, it is nice. They're like, no, this is what it's about. Like, we don't want you quitting later. Just quit now. Because it is definitely easier freshman year than you can do it later.
So Christian, I'm looking at my transcript right now. I was able to pull it up, and I actually saw that I had all 3 prerequisites for the EMF major in my fall of freshman year. So I really lucked out.
So are you flexing?
Subtle though.
Yeah.
Not big.
Yeah. Well, so it sounds like you pretty much chose that major, but you're not like in the major.
Well, no, actually. So you only had to take these 3 prerequisites to be eligible to get in the major. Mm-hmm. So I really lucked out in that sense.
But they're available and whatnot.
Yeah. So I had a leg up, so to speak, on everyone else because everyone else only had 1 or 2 or none at all of these prerequisites in their fall of freshman year, and I was already in the major while some people had to play catch up. So, again, subtle flex, but
Yeah. So just saying, I think we alluded to this earlier, like rate my professor and stuff like that. It seems silly, and it's, I don't know, I guess it's like sometimes you have to sort of break your schedule. Like I remember freshman year and sophomore year having class like 5 days a week because I was like, well, do I want to only have class like 2 days a week or 3 days a week and then have these professors who are going to make my life really hard and make it seem like I have 5 days a week? And not just hard because like the material's hard, like unreasonably hard, Or, do I want to power through, take these 8 a.m.s? It was definitely worth it, especially for like my generic classes that you have freshmen, sophomores, sometimes juniors taking. Like my Comp 2 class, I can't remember his name. I think it was like Professor Donaldson, I want to say, something like that. But he was like really cool comp professor. He'd make jokes about not wanting to be there at 8 a.m. too. Just stuff to keep the mood a little light, and he's like not taking it so seriously. He's like, it's English. You write, you read, you do that.
You've done it all your life.
You comp, Yeah, so he was,
You parse, even.
One might say.
As a scholar might say.
Yeah, so that was definitely a major life hack for making the second half of freshman year very lit.
You think you're funny?
No.
You got your hot chocolate?
I wish I did think that was funny.
Hot SHIT?
Yeah. So we talked a bunch about the class selection. So what about your roommate freshman year? Was that like a match made in heaven? Did you never talk to them again? And what do you think about the little survey that you take in the beginning? There's like 6 questions, and then it matches you with somebody.
I don't think I actually had to take that.
Maybe that'll explain your experience if it was a bad one.
Yeah, it was funny. We actually met at this orientation called TU4U. It was something in the summer, and basically it was in the basketball arena, and they had a bunch of floats, a bunch of different tables with majors and clubs, and it was basically a meet and greet almost. So we both actually played hockey. Me and my freshman year roommate, we both played hockey. So we both met at the club hockey table, and we just kind of stuck together for lack of a better term.
So you didn't do your roommate selection until right before you moved in,
right. So I was just putting it off because I'm just a lazy a-hole right there.
It worked out.
It worked out.
But I mean, if you're gonna go random anyway, there's no point to not.
Right. And it was actually pretty simple meeting my roommate. We both said, "Well, you play hockey. You play hockey.
Yeah.
You want to room together? Sure, why not?"
Yeah. You see that like the Spider-Man thing? Yeah, exactly.
Kid.
Yeah. It'll be on screen here.
We'll put it up there.
Here. No, up here.
Oh, up there?
Up here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it was really cool meeting him. I was moving in with him. I was obviously really excited. We both were going out for the hockey team our freshman year. Unfortunately, he made it, I didn't, but that's a story for another episode.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. He was a big partier. He liked to go out and have a good time. Didn't necessarily hit the books, so, I would say.
Did you live with him after that, or just freshman year?
No, just freshman year.
But you liked him? You just wasn't your...
He was an average guy, I guess. I don't know. I guess my big gripe with him was he smoked a lot of weed. He was a real pothead in a sense.
I was going to say, well, that's one of the questions they have in the survey. The survey, and I think it's funny, it's like 5 or 6 questions, but like living with people and thinking about it, it does mean so much. It's like smoker, yes or no, night or day, or like do you go to bed early, go to bed at like a little late, or go to bed really late? And if you're living 6 feet away from somebody, that matters so much.
And he checked off all of those boxes. He always smoked weed with his friends. He always stayed up until 2 a.m. eating chips at the loudest volume ever.
Yeah.
He was watching Netflix, so that the little Apple logo was shining bright, and it was distracting me from getting a good night's sleep, and it was just awful. And
so I actually had sort of an interesting, I guess it's not interesting because I think a lot of other schools like Penn State or something might have like suites freshman year, or like you live with like 3 other people. I forget, but I had one like standard sized dorm room that's usually for 2 people, but there was 3 of us in there, and there was just bunk beds instead. So it was definitely a little tight, but it was interesting. I roomed with 2 people who actually went to high school together, like coincidentally didn't match, and then the one guy like would want to go to bed at like a reasonable time. I mean, not reasonable for college. He'd want to go to bed by like 10 or 11 every night, and me and the other dude were just up like clowning, playing.
What a nerd, trying to go to bed by 10:30.
Yeah, I mean, it was just sort of like mob mentality where me and the other dude were just vibing until like 2:30, and then we'd wake up for our 8 a.m. just not caring,
And you made him succumb to that peer pressure?
Once or twice, but he was not about it long. Also, it didn't help. Right down the hallway, like 2 of his high school friends, like who he was good friends with, were living together, and like he was in like a cappella, so they like were big like music nerds and stuff like that. So he pretty much just wanted to live there.
So why didn't?
But he lived with us. Well, so that's what I was gonna say.
Because of that survey.
No. So he ended up switching.
Oh.
So we had to agree to switch, and like the dude he switched with hung out with us. So that was the point. It's like he wanted to live with these 2 guys, and we hung out with the other guy who lived with them. So we were like, sure, whatever, like we'll switch. And it ended up being, I mean, I guess like he probably had a lot more fun living with those dudes, but the dude he switched with, it was cool. He stayed up late with us, but then like I'd get up for my 8 a.m.s. I'd be like stirring chocolate milk and like blowing my nose at like 7:30, and he'd be, dude, why you blow your nose so loud? Dude. And like every single day, because I had 8 a.m.s like every day or every other day. Like I said, I took those early classes to get the good professors. And that was like a point of contention all year. So that was kind of rough, so it definitely, means a lot. Yeah, who you live with for sure. And like if you immediately see issues, like try to switch. I'm not saying it's like the end of the world, but if you're day one being like, oh, these might be big differences, like they'll probably just keep being a pain in the balls until you're like, oh, thank God my freshman year's over.
So you lived in one of those quad dorms then?
No. It was just one normal dorm, like where you have 2 beds usually on the sides.
Right.
And then it's kind of like you get your half and you get your half. And then the middle's like the mini fridge, right? Like that's like every college dorm layout. But instead, the one bed was a bunk bed.
Oh, okay.
And everything was sort of shifted to fit that extra bed, an extra dresser, and an extra desk. So it was realistically like it's a 1-person room. For college, it's a 2-person room, and for my situation, it was a 3-person room. Although we were lucky, the other guys who had a triple, their ceiling was like 12 inches away from their bed, so like they could barely like get up. So I was glad we didn't have that. But yeah, it was good. Oh, and yeah, my 3rd roommate, Chris. Yeah, he was cool, and he was a computer science major too. so we had a lot of similar stuff going on. And we just hung out all the time. We just had like a lot of similar interests. So that was like one of those situations. I ended up not living with him, but it was just sort of like I ended up living with other people just because it worked out better. But yeah, he was great. And he was crazy. Like he peed in our fridge and stuff. Great story. Yeah, that's it.
I want to hear more about this.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the moral of the story is, when do you usually pee in a fridge?
Peed in the fridge.
Yeah, like, come on, when do you think you'd normally pee in a fridge? So he's doing all that. He comes back, and I'm sleeping. It was like 2 a.m, but I didn't care when they woke me up and whatnot.
I pee in my kitchen
and I was
sink.
like, yo, you're peeing. What are you doing? You're peeing in the fridge. And he goes, and we had a goldfish. He's like, no, I fed the goldfish twice this morning. And I always love, I bring this story up, and the next day he goes, yeah, and by I fed the goldfish twice yesterday, I meant I fed him 2 pellets at once. I just love, that was such a good response. I don't know, like, why I always remember that. But yeah, he was great, like, I loved living with him.
He sounded like a riot.
He was just crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he was crazy. The other roommate, we clashed a lot, but like he's still cool to hang out with. It was pretty much just in the mornings we clashed when I tried to like blow my nose, make chocolate milk, all the exciting things that one does in the morning.
The essentials.
The breakfast essentials. One might say.
You're funny. You're a funny one. Christian, I think that joke brings us to our first fun fact.
Our fun fact, and that's a fact.
And that's a fact. Brought to you.
Of the day.
Is it brought to you by anything? Are we sponsored by anyone?
Brought to you by the internet.
Yes, the internet. Surf everything. Surf's up, dude.
Yep.
Fun fact, and that's a fact.
Surf your lawn and mow the web.
Fun fact, and that's a fact. The most drastic weight change occurs during the first semester of college due to the drastic change of environment and routine. So, Christian, that harkens back to...
That's not really a fun fact. I'd like another one.
You like another one? All right. Well,
that wasn't very fun. Everyone knows.
We have 2 in the chamber, so don't worry.
All right.
But that harkens back to kind of what you were talking about earlier in the episode, how freshman year of college is really the biggest change in your life. Mm-hmm. You go through all these changes in environment and in changes in routine and all that. Why are you laughing?
Because you're saying you go through these changes. Like, I just picture every bad sitcom. Your body's going through changes, or like a superhero movie.
Going through changes. Do you know who sang
that? Not off the top of my head.
Going.
I mean, I know it's Big Mouth with Nick Kroll and whatnot.
It is. No, do you know who sang that?
Eminem.
The god of rap, Eminem.
I did notice the cover right away.
Stop screen cheating. We talked about this. All right, you want another fun fact?
Yeah, let's take a break and then let's come back with our fun fact, and that's a fact of the day, number 2.
I think that's a good plan.
All right.
People will love that. Christian, are you ready for this second fun fact? And that's a fact.
Yes.
Brought to you by the internet as well.
By your mom.
My mom? Why not your mom?
Because you're giving me the fact.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. Fun fact, and that's a fact, about 15% of college students actually lose weight while in college.
Wait,
as opposed to gaining weight.
That's like the opposite of what you just said. It probably depends if you got that meal plan,
I actually lost weight in my freshman year. I lost a lot of weight. I was actually really sick my freshman year. I had...
Too many O'Douls.
I actually had mono, so that'll do it. But Christian, question for you. Do you know the actual amount that the average college student puts on in their freshman year?
I don't know.
Don't screen cheat.
They say the freshman 15. I feel like I'll say 6.9 pounds.
You'll say 6.9?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. Well, the average amount that college freshmen actually put on is between 2.5 and 3.5 pounds.
Oh, that's not that much.
Not that much at all.
I gained that much after eating like a bunch of chicken parm,
I gained that much just sitting on the couch this morning.
That's true. I don't go anywhere.
No,
let's not talk about
because we don't have friends. Remember that.
Anyway, yeah.
But that was your fun fact, and that's a fact presented by Ryan and Christian.
So did you like your so anyone who lives on the campus usually has to have a meal plan, right?
Right.
Most of the time. Did you like your meal plan food?
The meal plan itself, yeah, it was pretty nice. I think I'm trying to think back to my freshman year meal plan. I think you had two different options. You had like a weekly plan where it was like 14 meals a week.
Or a block.
Or a block plan, right, where I think it was like 100 meals for the whole semester and like 75 points or something on your card, which I blew through in about 2 weeks, and I had to get like 5 of them total in freshman year. Did I like the meal plan? Yeah, I like the meal plan because it gave me flexibility. You know, when I was feeling really hungry.
So when we talked before, though, it sounded like you didn't like the food you got with the meal plan.
I mean, that's a different story. I mean, find me a freshman at college who actually likes the food, and I'll show you a liar. Some
people flex that their food's pretty good. I wouldn't be one of those people. Although, one thing that we had, and I know some other places have this too, it's cool when your meal plan includes like actual food places and not just like the calf. So like we had some places below, and they changed it like my end of junior, senior, something like that. I didn't really get to utilize it. But they had like a Chipotle style place with like burritos and whatnot. I mean, it was like low quality, you know, but it was cool. You could like make your burritos, so that was nice instead of just getting like the the Mama Celeste pizza that they made upstairs, or any of like the random things they had, like a whole rotisserie chicken. They just have really weird assorted items in the calf.
The one good thing about my dining hall was they had, obviously, your traditional burgers, fries, hot dogs, all that, cheese, grilled cheese. They had breakfast food, all that. But the one good thing was they had a pasta station, which was really cool. And you can customize your pasta. You can get like ham, lobster, crab in it.
You know what else? People love create your own omelet section.
We had that as
where
well.
You throw it all in a little container, and then the guy takes your eggs and he's like with the flingy flings.
I saw that.
Yeah, people love that.
Can you do the sound effects again?
Just play it back, that's fine. So the cat food was not great. Personally too, I think the minimum food plan is like fine. I mean, I got the 7 a week or something, and I don't even know if I like always use the Walmart. Did I? I don't know. It was tough. I think I had the 7 or the 10. I had one of the lower ones. And also, we had access to like a car to go to Walmart and stuff. So like I ate like lots of like just popcorn. I don't know. That was like a snack I really vibed with. So I liked having, the minimum plan because it's not always the best food, but it is nice. And there were options. That's probably one of the other things that's nice about bigger schools or just more expensive schools is usually they have at least a little more funding there, so you have a little more variety. Oh, or like this place wouldn't always take the meal plan. It would only take it on like Saturday mornings or something. It was like some sort of special, but it was a bagel place. It was like a bagel. I mean, I would just get a bagel. I think you get sandwiches and stuff too, like breakfast sandwiches.
Was it Einstein's?
No, it wasn't. We ended up getting an Einstein's eventually, but it was like just a business on a street near school.
Interesting.
So
we had that. We had Einstein's freshman year, and it would not accept. It was weird. It would not accept points on Saturdays and Sundays. And one bagel cost like, let's say an arbitrary number. Let's say it costs like $3. $3 in points. You're not going to spend a whole meal, which is $6 in points. You're not going to spend a whole meal on just one bagel.
Yeah, there were some numbers like that where it was like, I almost should just buy it. That's sort of like the block meal plan. I think I calculated it, and it was silly because if you always get like a burrito and chips and a drink and an apple or something, like if you always get a full meal, then it's worth the amount you pay, like the $9 or $10 or something per meal. Because you're saving like $2 or $3 per meal, so if it's like it ends up being a few $100. But if you're just like getting a burrito, you're paying extra, So I ended up, I think the other years being like, oh, it's not worth it. But on the other hand, it is really nice to not have to worry about it at all. Like you sort of said, even sophomore, junior year, to just not have to worry about going to the grocery store and like preparing food and sometimes it is just a drag, So you're still I guess, paying for the food when you have the meal plan. But if it's like out of student loans and stuff like that, it's just one less thing, as somebody would say.
Now, Christian,
named Forrest Gump.
On another topic, how did you feel about walking around campus from class to class? Was that?
Yeah, I mean, it was great when it wasn't cold. Oh man, going to school.
Obviously, going to school in Jersey is tough.
I mean, yeah, even Maryland's not that much further down south. Yeah, just
Maryland, you could have 4 seasons in just one day.
Yeah, oh my god, and it was, for some reason, the area was so windy. So it was just, the cold was brutal, but a lot of the time, yeah, it was nice. And, you know, to some extent, I was fortunate that you could get pretty much end to end of all the academic buildings in like 15 minutes. So, you know, nothing was too crazy, whereas I know they did have a shuttle, but I know some schools where you have to take a shuttle or you're not making it, you know, or it'll be like an hour walk.
It's just that big.
Yeah. Rowan has all their buildings sort of crammed in, which is like, I guess, somewhat silly, but it's really nice. It's really easy to go from class to class. Plus, I know a lot of time, if you have your major classes like all together, they're all in the same building. But then, yeah, it'd be like your gen eds 15 minutes that way, but then your other major classes this way, and you'd be like back and forth.
Where was your dorm in relation to all the other academic buildings?
So the freshman dorms are kind of cool, and I guess it is sort of funny to see how the school originally started, like much smaller, and how it's grown. Right in the middle of all of the academic buildings are the dorms, pretty much. I mean, I guess they're not in the middle, they're sort of like to the side, but all the buildings, the dorm buildings, are right there within like 10, like the newest building they built is maybe 10 minutes away. So it's really nice that it's all right there, and whereas you start to live off campus or even just the other apartments are an extra like 5-10 minutes walk, you know, so it's nothing brutal. But it is cool that they're all centralized right there. Oh, also, did your freshman dorm have air conditioning?
Oh, we did.
You did?
So I was in one of the newer dorms at Towson. It was called Peka House. So
Peka House?
Peka, P-A-C-A.
Oh, okay.
So
not Tuckahoe?
Not Tuckahoe. So it was in this quad called the West Village Commons, and there were 4 dorms: Peka, Tubman, Douglas, and I forget the other one. Oh, Barton House. So I lived in Peka House, and in West Village, the big thing, the one advantage over the other dorms was we actually had air conditioning. The other dorms didn't. So it was very nice.
Yeah, I mean, on the bright side,
it's
only like the first few weeks, maybe like the first month of September's rough. The whole month of September's rough, and then maybe some of May, I guess. But for the most part, it's not bad. But it would be nice. Although, as I start to like be done school, they built this new like housing complex, and it's like huge. And they stuck all the incoming freshmen in there, and then all like the degenerate upperclassmen who didn't want to get a nicer apartment, they stuck in like the old freshman dorms with no AC or anything like that.
It was a running joke in my school that they called West Village West Privilege, because we had AC. We only had one other dorm mate. We didn't have to share a bathroom, which I don't know if you had to share a bathroom.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I shared a bathroom with like the whole floor, like 12 people or something. Yeah, so I guess not the whole floor. It was like our floor, so I shared with like the 12 people or something, the dudes that were there. And then there was like the stairwell, and then on the other side were like all the like the girls had their own bathroom and stuff. So it's interesting too, because I know some places like it'll be different, like guys are in this building or girls are in that building, or just different floors at least, which does make sense. But I don't know, I guess it never really came up for us, especially because it wasn't that many people on the floor.
So you were or you weren't co-ed floors?
We were. I mean, it was sort of broken up. Like there was one long hallway, and there was like 8 rooms of guys or something like that, and then there's a stairwell with like 2 of the, for some reason they have like the bomb-proof doors, 2 of those, and then there was like the girls' hallway, which was like all connected, and there was like 8 rooms of girls or something like that.
All in all, I think freshman year was a really, really fun time for me. I found out a lot more about myself, a lot more about the world around me.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about just the difference from living away from home, for better or for worse, or a little bit of both.
Yeah, I learned a lot more about just people in general, and what I really wanted to get out of everything in college. I learned more about myself. Christian, I hope you did too.
Yeah.
So.
One last thing. I heard somebody bring up forever ago. Do you think it's sort of harder living with someone who's like your major, or even like the guy you said he got on the hockey team, sort of like not comparing yourself to them sort of thing, or even like comparing workloads? I just feel like you do it all the time in high school, because you're with 30 other people who are like you see every day. You're like, how'd you do on this? Or how'd you do on that? It's not always like a flex on them kind of thing. But, if I like really struggled with something and I just see like my roommate killing it, kind of would harp on me a little bit for sure.
I think it would have been a little easier for me if I was living with someone else inside my major, because we probably could have, like shared answers on homework, or like shared helpful tips on projects and all that. But at the same time, I do get your point about, what if he gets 92 on a test and I get a 60?
Well, or even just like I guess it could be like hard to step away from work type of thing, because you go to all your radio, TV, film classes, and then you come back and you're still doing that homework with them and talking about that all the time.
Right, it's like you never get a break.
Yeah, you never get a break. Whereas like, I'll have group work, or I'll message people about homework, but then it's like when I'm hanging out with everyone else, it's just like we're hanging out. We're not talking about the school stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of nice. I mean, not that it's like super negative, but it was an interesting point I thought someone mentioned before.
Yeah. I think I had a good time. I mean, my freshman year roommate, again, I didn't really, for the most part, wasn't really my cup of tea, but he did show me, he did let me experience partying life for my first time, and for that I'm grateful, and obviously I hadn't looked back since then. So.
Yeah, all right. Big guy.
But I don't want to keep on talking and incriminate myself.
Incriminate yourself.
I plead the fifth.
Oh,
so.
God. Yeah, I enjoyed freshman. I mean, obviously, I guess not obviously. Some people have like just bad years, which makes sense. But I personally, I think enjoyed all of my years. So it's like a silly thing to say. But freshman year, the adapting was interesting, and it was just interesting. It was so much different from anything else. And I guess sort of now how we go to Outer Banks, it's just nice. You go, you hang out with friends for a week, and like that's what you're doing is hanging out. Because it can be tough to get everyone together, or even just hanging out for like a day, or just to have that like constant time frame of hanging out with people. I think is definitely really cool. And regardless of all the other things that happen, or even if you like clash with your roommate a lot, just having the hanging out with them, 90% of the time, and then clashing the other 10% still definitely makes it a lot more fun for the most part. If not, you escape to the library and take a nap or study or something.
Right, you can always be by yourself. There's always alone time. That's what they're there for anyways. So, all right, that's going to do it for episode 3 of the Best 4 podcast. Thank you all for sticking around. I hope you all learned something. Christian, hope you learned something today. Ryan, I hope you learned something today. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to live your best 4. Let us know what you think about this episode. If you have any thoughts, if you want to
dislike,
subscribe to the video,
comment, and then dislike again. Like again.
All of that. We'll see you later.